For every 1,000 square feet of floor area built in America today, a few acres of land somewhere in the world have usually been destroyed. At the same time, for every 1,000 square feet of floor area built in America today, a truckload or two of trash is usually hauled to a landfill. All this waste coming and going doesn't stabilize that larger foundation under a building known as the environment. Better is to reuse the trash in ways that preserve the environment coming and going. What is known as recycling. Indeed, if anything could be called the soul of sustainable architecture, it is rescuing and reusing old materials in new construction. After all, it is not the mighty dinosaur or mastodon that has survived through the ages, but the scavenging buzzard and shark. An elemental way to consider recycling is to think of the most beautiful marbles and hardwoods you may have seen in a fine residence or a corporate office. Those materials came from someone's backyard that was a lot like yours. And their essence is no different than the essence of any material found anywhere. The challenge is not recycling materials. Believe me, that is easy. But finding ways to bring out their essence so it displays the same kind of beauty you see in the finest hardwoods and marbles. For example, it takes little more than money to bring out the beauty in a piece of finely grained hardwood bought in a lumber yard. But it takes a refined insight to bring out the beauty in an old board found in someone's backyard. And people know and love this quality when they see it. Furthermore, if you find an old board somewhere and reuse it in a building, that's recycling. And that achievement is noble enough. But if you clean that board in a way that makes its old grains shine so lustrously that someone says, you can't buy wood like that in the lumber yard, then you have tapped into a more kingly essence. Done like this, recycled building materials won't look like reshuffled trash. They will exhibit the kind of class and erudition one associates with elegant lifestyles and sophisticated people. It almost seems incidental that such efforts can help keep a few corners of our world green and could save you some of that green you put in your pocket. And we all admire beautiful work made with things someone obtained for free. Let's elucidate this idea with an example from my book, Architecture Laid Bare. This is a corner of one small room in my house that I built in 1974, the master bath. The field stone wall rising above two sides of the sunken tub, here's the tub and here's the wall on two sides, I collected from a 200-year-old stone wall running through my property. When building these walls, all I did was preserve the material's essence, its strength, and its rugged character from where the walls once sat in the woods to where they now sit around this room. I also used this natural material collected on my property to build the exterior wall around my house's first floor, and 80 linear feet of walls completely indoors, and the chimney mass with 3 fireplaces in it that rises through the heart of the house. Another example of bringing out a discarded item's essence is the round pieces of glass you see mounted in the field stone wall above the tub in this picture of my bathroom. These tiny windows are empty liquor bottles. I made these out of empty liquor bottles. The essence of this material is that light passes through it, through the glass, but you can't see clearly through the glass, which means a bather can see what she's doing and her privacy will be preserved. After collecting a couple dozen bottles like this from the dumpsters of several local bars one Sunday morning, I arranged the bottles in matching pairs. I removed their tops with a bottle cutter bought from the Whole Earth catalog. Then I made the matching tops, duct taped the tops together to make a cylinder about 3 inches thick and 10 inches long. Then I mounted these cylinders of thermopane here and there in the stone walls as the mason built them. One material I had to pay for and do a lot of work to exploit its essence is the sunken tub's blue stone floor and side walls. On visiting a local masonry yard, not to buy rocks to be sure, I spied 2 huge slabs of bluestone, 36 by 48 inches in size and 3 inches thick, marked 70% off because they had a coppery blush on their bluish surfaces that someone thought was unsightly. The better the fools. Also considered unsightly were the long cracks along the slab's edges. Remember, they were 3 inches thick and there was these cracks along the edges which indicated the slabs were delaminating. After bringing them home, I carefully tapped a row of oak wedges in those delaminating seams and split each 3-inch slab into 3 1-inch slabs. I didn't break a piece. After mounting a masonry blade in my electric saw, I cut and assembled the 6 slabs into this sunken tub that's 48 inches wide and 74 inches long. And it is big enough for a family to bathe a dog in if it wanted. In fact, here is where we wash our dog, and it is the perfect place to do so. I cut the tub's side pieces at slight angles so they incline 10 degrees outward toward the top, and I clad the concrete pedestal here under this column. See the concrete pedestal right there? Under the post with 3 narrow slabs of bluestone whose edges I mitered at a 45-degree angle, so the pieces fit together as neatly as the corners of a picture frame. The masonry blade I use can be bought in almost any hardware store. It fits into an ordinary electric handsaw, just like this one right here, and using it requires no more skill than it takes to cut plywood. The blade does cut through masonry much slower than through plywood, though, and it raises a cloud of dust behind the saw. So if you do this work, make sure you're outdoors and facing the wind. That's all an amateur needs to know to do professional work with this material. And by the way, you see this saw right here and this blade? This is the same saw and the same blade that I used to make the pieces in the bathtub 38 years ago. In fact, every part of this bathroom's construction was routine construction performed with common hand tools.